Hi, this is Mike. We're going to do a little tutorial here on bringing in an object into jwildfire, a 3D object that we've gotten downloaded from a website. This is not stuff that's included with jwildfire. This is to import an OBJ from the outside. We're going to use the variation that does that particular work, and that's the object mesh WF. So the first thing that we're going to need to do, by the way, this tutorial is for extreme beginners that haven't done this before. If you've done this before, you're not going to need this tutorial, but I thought I'd just, do this for the people that have not done this yet. Do a new from scratch. So we have a model we're going to bring in here, so we need to add the object mesh variation. Come down here to select it, object mesh WF, and it drops in a default box, which if we flip around the pitch and the yaw a little bit, we can see it's a 3D box, and that's what it's for. So we're going to reset it here because that's what we're doing here. This is something that just is there when you open up that particular variation's default box that's in there. So we're going to import an object in place of this box. We do that by first highlighting the transform, and then coming down here to the gear next to where it says object file name. Click on that particular gear. It comes up with our file folders, our directories, and where things are. And I have things in a 3D model directory. This happens to be an eagle that I'm bringing in. And I've got eagle-ml. Now, I've cleaned this up in MeshLab. I'll just tell you that for now so that we can see this part of it. And then later on, I'll probably do a tutorial on cleaning things up in MeshLab because that's a job in itself. So anyway, so I have a 3D object I'm going to be bringing in here. I click on open, and there we have our eagle. It pops right in, and it's way too large for the camera that we have set up. And since we're only at 50 pics per unit, it's too big. Now this happens when models go from one program to the next. They may be using centimeters instead of millimeters or vice versa, and as a result, the model comes in the wrong size. It's just, whatever the default value was for the program that this particular model was made in. In this case, it's 10 times too large, so I'm going to come up here and scale it down, which I can do by dropping down this green arrow right here. And I'm going to make it 1/10 the size in all three axes that it once was. And you can see it's starting to come into size right now. So now we've done it in Z. So we've got the model size the way we want. It's a little small on screen, so we can scope in and out and bring it into where we want to be by adjusting the pixels per unit, which is the way that I usually like to do it. It comes in with a better camera view. Now, this eagle appears to be flying up, and we seem to be on top of it, or on its backside right now looking at it. And that's kind of not the way we want to see it. We want to see it fly towards the camera. So we're going to have to turn this model around. Now the way to do that is we're going to have to switch the axes here. See these three sets of axes here? And then use the post transform and revolve, rotate the triangle. So first thing we're going to do is come to the YZ, and this is going to bend it forward. Oops, bend it backwards here. I want to turn it around. There we go. So we've got it so it's flying away from us now. Not exactly what we want, so we're going to have to turn it around 180 degrees and bring it back towards us. There we go. We've got it towards us now. So we've got a 3D model which is now facing the camera. Now, it's facing the camera straight on, and when that faces the camera straight on, it's not the best type of view that you have for 3D objects. So we're going to turn it around so we can see it with a little bit of pitch in there. make it fly down a little bit, and then we're going to turn it and roll it a little bit so we can see it a little bit from at an angle. And then I usually match the yaw with the roll so that you get a view that looks like it's flying below you at an angle and you're watching it fly by. So now we have the model in a 2D format flying by in a 3D sort of view. You can add a little perspective here. I usually don't add too much here just to get a little viewpoint on it. I think I got 0.07. That's plenty for right now, just to give it a realistic view. And then one last thing we want to do here is put on the 3D to see what it looks like in 3D. So we have our model, 3D model, now brought in and oriented in jwildfire. Now, at this point, some variety of things we can do. I usually go on to the lights from here. It's just when I have 3D rendering, I got to fix the lights. It looks like the lights on this side coming down over here. Maybe I want to bring it on this side and light up this side over here. So I do some adjustments that way. It's but on the line here we have anti-aliasing filter, which we'll do first. Turn on the anti-aliasing and some noise reduction, which aids in the render. And one other item here on the Affine tab is the Preserve Z, which will also get rid of some of the extra noise that you find when you're rendering in 3D. And I like clean renders, so that's what I'm heading towards. It's really looking clean already, and I haven't even done a test render yet. I think I'm going to move the light before I do a test render, though. And so I'm going to come over here to the light settings. We have light 0 as the default light. It's set at minus 30 on the azimuth, which is what's putting it over here. I'm going to bring it around to this side. You'll see that light change here in just a second. So I've got the light on this side here. Also going to want a little bit brighter. I don't like how dark it's looking. And the backlight here, which is usually on the opposite side, of course, that's why it's a backlight. I'm going to raise up a little bit because it was only set to 50%. And I think I want a little bit brighter look on it. So now I've got this underlight here, and the thing's pretty well lit. So let's do a test render here and see what we got. Okay, this is our test render, and it's looking really good. A really nice, decent test render here. So here we have an eagle. It's flying in for us. It's a variety of things that we can do at this point, but I saved that for another tutorial. At this point, I'm going to close this off so that we can just go over those points here. So really quickly, you want a new flame. You want a new variation. You go to Object Mesh WF. Click on the gear and bring in the file from the directory where you have it stored. You may have to orient it. You can orient it in all 3 axes. Sometimes they come in clean and ready to go, but sometimes they don't. So there you have how to bring in a object on an import. If any questions, please give me a write, and I'll be happy to answer them.